Hello there. My name is James B. This is my vodcast. Stich Wynston from the Shuffle Demons is going to be my guest. He'll talk about the new Shuffle Demons, probably couple of old stories, but he really wants to talk about what's going on these days. And he is a fantastic drummer, and he's been kind of co-managing the band and doing a lot of booking. So we'll talk to him about the biz and about the Shuffle Demons. Right now, I want to thank my sponsors. I want to thank barberfinancial.com, Captain Paul Barber, a champion of things like this. He loves podcasts and vodcasts, and he supported this from the beginning. If you need help with your finances, check out Paul Barber at barberfinancial.com, and Aaron Barbarian and his staff over at Barbarian Steakhouse. Occasionally I'll do an interview down there. They always support what I do, and it's my home away from home, my favorite restaurant in Toronto. Barbarian Steakhouse, 7 Elm Street. And to people on Patreon, thank you so much. You really make a difference. I know it might be $5 or $10 a month, but when you add it all up, it makes a huge difference. So thanks for supporting this. And of course, my man, JJ Brown, he's the guy who puts this together with me for over a year now. So here we are. We're going to get into the Old Mill Toronto right now. If you're out and about in the clubs, you're looking around for something to do this week, Old Mill tonight, Ted Quinlan, Brian Dickinson, Kieran Overs, Ted Warren. His new record is called Absolutely Dreaming, and it's absolutely dreamy. I've said that before. It's a great record. I bet you it'll pick up a Juno. It's so good. And so that band is playing here tonight, 7:30 to 10:30. No cover. Get down there before 7:30. It's going to be jammed, I bet. He's a favorite around here. On Saturday, Michael Dunstan. Now, he's doing jazz with Bernie Sinensky on piano and Dave Young on bass, so that's going to be amazing. But I bet you he'll put some soul into that, too, because this guy is one heck of a soul singer. Ross Wooldridge is there on Wednesday the 29th. Now, normally he's known as a clarinet player, plays some saxophone, but he's also a really good piano player, and I'm guessing that's what he's doing, because he's joined by Lou Mele on bass and Carolyn Credico on vocals. It has been 2 years since I've seen her sing live, and she has one of the sweetest voices you will ever hear. It's going to be a wonderful show. Heilig Maneuver are there on Thursday the 30th. It's a rare treat to see them too, because they're all so busy in all kinds of bands. But Henry Heilig, the great bassist, originally from Manteca, started this band years ago, had a couple of hit songs, and they are continually putting out great records. Stacey McGregor on piano, Charlie Cooley on drums, Alison Young on sax, and that's all happening on Thursday the 30th at Old Mill Toronto's Homesmith Bar. Lula Lounge, Papiosco y los Ritmicos. I can say it. It's hard. Anyway, Papiosco is everybody's favorite percussionist. He's a sweet man. It's always a great time there. DJ Suave's there. Get down there early for dinner, then take a dance lesson for a few minutes, and then just have fun all night long. La Borinquina is performing on Salsa Saturdays at Lula Lounge, and on Sunday, 1 p.m., they have a show. Trevor, Cape, and The Field are performing at 1 p.m., and then in the evening, the Soul Slam Singer-Songwriter Contest. Holy alliteration, Batman. The Soul Slam Singer-Songwriter Contest. Yep, that's happening Sunday night. And then on the 28th, they have something called Speaker Slam. The theme is reinvention. And if you haven't been to a Speaker Slam, think of it a little bit like a competitive TED Talks. It's pretty cool, and I love what they do at Lula Lounge. Lula.ca for all the information. Remember, like a lot of these clubs, get dinner reservations, and that way you get the best seat. Old Mill Toronto, by the way, they don't take reservations because it's a hotel bar, so you can just go there and get there early and try your luck. Hughes Room Live, another place you want to make reservations ahead of time. Tonight, Steel City Rovers. Tomorrow night, a Tina Turner tribute. And on Sunday, Lynn Harris has her 6th CD launch. Good for her. And she's playing with a really cool guy. Noah Zacharin is a handsome devil, a great player, a singer-songwriter in his own right. He'll be backing up Lynn Harris. On the 27th, Dr. Mike Daly, my little buddy. He is so smart. That's why he's a doctor. He really has a doctorate. He doesn't make it up. Mike Daly, The Elvis Story. He will tell you the life of Elvis, all kinds of interesting facts, and occasionally break into song. It's like a musical, it's a lecture, it's Mike Daly. And then on 29th and 30th, I'm giving you a heads up for next week because Albert Lee is in. He's a blues legend, of course. Emily Harris, Eric Clapton, a whole bunch of great people. So Albert Lee's going to be in town. And then on the 31st, Midge Ure. Now, Midge is known for many reasons, but I'll always think of him as the guy who sang Old Vienna with the band Ultravox. I met him once, just bumped into him, and he was the kindest, gentlest soul with the coolest accent. Anyway, Midge is going to be there. HughesRoomLive.com for all the information. Jazz Bistro. Genevieve Marentet is there tonight and tomorrow. Oh my, this is going to be so cool. Tonight, she is with Attila Fish on piano, George Kohler on bass, and Ben Whitman on drums. Her special guest is Eric St. Laurent on guitar. Tomorrow, the same band, but her special guest is Bill McBurney on flute. Different songs each night. Everything she's doing. 4 sets in 2 nights, and every song was written in 1969. What a cool idea. And if you don't know Genevieve Marentet, go on YouTube and Google her up. You need to see her. Judith Lander is there on the 27th, cabaret star, wonderful woman, beautiful voice, and she packs the room every single time. So get dinner reservations for 7 p.m. Sunday, or you might not get in. Friendly Rich on Tuesday the 28th. Wait, is that right? The 28th? I think I'm missing something. Tuesday! Yeah, that's it. Tuesday the 28th. Friendly Rich. Only the Lonely. He's going to sing that Frank Sinatra record like nobody. Like maybe Leonard Cohen would have, or maybe Captain Beefheart. It's very strange, and it's super musical. It's going to be one of the most exciting and weird things to happen in the history of Jazz Bistro, I bet. And I can't wait to see who shows up for this one. Friendly Rich, what a guy. The Jazz Jam on the 29th. David Rubel is back, and he is back to stay. He is our guy there. He leads a great jazz jam. He's got an incredible band with him, and people get up and play, and it's just jazz. It's perfect. So that's Wednesday, and then next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Jeremy Ledbetter has a trio. He has special guests get up, and of course, I think it's the Saturday, Eliana Cuevas is going to be with him. But check out everything at jazzbistro.ca. And now, over to Stich Wynston, one of my favorite drummers. He is a funny little beat poet. He can break dance and not break things. It looks like he might break his back, some of his moves. But anyway, when he's not being hilariously entertaining or keeping the backbeat of the Shuffle Demons going, he's actually booking concerts. So let's find out all about Stich Wynston right now. Stich!
B.
How are you?
Good.
I have so many questions for you. How many years have you been playing with the Shuffle Demons?
I was there right from the beginning, so it's been 35 plus years.
Wow. Do you have a memory of a gig where in the early days where you said, "Hey, this is it. This is working"?
Yeah. When we were, it wasn't even a gig. We were busking in front of the Eaton Center, and some crazy old guy did like a Jesus thing while we were playing, and it got caught by City TV everywhere, and I said, I think we're onto something here.
What a good way to figure that out. When did your band, you had touring agents and things, when did your band start to get so self-reliant?
We were really self-reliant from the word go, and then over the course of our career we tried bringing in some agents and managers, and we found that it didn't really work for us. We found that we did a much better job than they did. And it's the old saying, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Right. So, you know, unless we find somebody who can do the job equally as well or better than us, then we're going to continue to be self-managed.
Right. And when it comes to the agency in particular, because management is you guys deciding what you want to do and then doing it, but traveling around the world, that's got to be a lot harder. When did you become the agent?
I became the agent after our 20th anniversary reunion tour in 2004. At that point, Richard Underhill decided that he didn't want to do it anymore, and he thought we'd just be, you know, a local band, and I said, no. Like, this is so good, and I believe in this so strongly that I'm not going to allow that to happen. So then I took the reins, and I just let my imagination go wild, and I've taken the band all over the world. And my agenda is to have the band perform in every continent in the world. So I actually have a tour of Africa lined up for April, so that will be 6 continents, and then the only uncharted territory will be Antarctica.
So that will be a gig for maybe 2022?
Well, you know what? Last October we did a tour of New Zealand and Australia. And we were in this beautiful small town in New Zealand where they had this like water park. And so we went into this hot tub and we met some Americans who were on their way to Antarctica. They worked for the U.S. government, and they told us that every December the 31st they have something called Ice Stock festival. So I looked it up online. So, you know, after our foray into Africa, I'm going to hit up Ice Stock because I'm serious. I want to take the Shuffle Demons all around the world to every continent because I believe in the band so strongly, and there's no band like it. So I think the world deserves to check out the Shuffle Demons.
You guys are definitely culture ambassadors, because when I travel, people will ask me if I know the Shuffle Demons, and I go, well, I know them, and I know them.
Yeah, like we're like this. Right?
Yeah, but the early days, you guys would play, you played a lot in Europe. When did you start doing China and places like that? How many years old were you when you started getting into really remote places?
That was after 2004, and I started taking over. So in 2006, in the first 6 months of that year, I booked us tours of India, China, and Europe.
How do you, I mean, you're on a computer, you're on a phone. Is it all research? Did someone give you a master list?
It's all research. Basically, I get on the computer and I Google whatever it is, jazz festivals in India, folk festivals in India, arts festivals in India, and once I get some of those anchor gigs, which pay well, which you can center a tour around, then I fill it in with other stuff, and I always contact the Canadian embassies, high commissions in whatever country we're going to, because they're a great source of assistance. If nothing else, they help let people know that we're coming through all their promotional streams. That tour of India was completely funded by the Canadian High Commission in Delhi, because at that point I had missed the cutoff for Canada Council funding, so they underwrote the entire tour.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's probably also good that embassies know where you are in case something goes wrong.
Yeah.
For example, one time we toured together in the U.S., you were playing with me, and they didn't believe that all of the pills in your bottles, they were all vitamins.
Right.
I remember, and they had to go, the security guy goes through every single jar.
Yeah.
That's vitamin E. That's alfalfa sprouts.
Right.
So I could imagine in a faraway land you want the government with you.
Exactly. Yeah, the guy pulled out, this little tablet, and he goes, "What's this?" And I said, "Melatonin." He goes, "What's melatonin?" I said, "It's a all-natural sleeping aid that you get at the health food store."
Right. I know. Amazing. What other weird things? You must have had some adventure in a faraway land where you guys are like, uh-oh.
Probably the craziest was in the summer of '85 when my co-leader Richard Underhill took the band on a 3-month busking tour of Europe. And at that time there was still an East and West Berlin. So we were in West Berlin and we got a 1-day visa to go to East Berlin, and we wrote a song about it. Mike Murley wrote a song about it called East Berlin Angst. So we got the 1-day visa that expires at 12, and we found this little park and we decided to start playing, and all of a sudden we were surrounded by like a zillion kids. It was awesome. They loved it. And then we met this guy named Uli, who was a jazz band. He took us back to his house, gave us some tea, we started listening to jazz sides, and then he goes, "There's this club, you have to go and play it tonight." So we went and played at the club, and then we're looking at our watches like, oh my God, it's 11:30. We have to get back to Checkpoint Charlie, otherwise we're going to be in trouble. So Uli and some of his friends, they take us on the subway, and then we get off at the stop that we're supposed to get off at, and we start running, and all of a sudden Uli goes, "Oh no, we're running the wrong way." So we turn around and we get back to Checkpoint Charlie at like 2 minutes after 12. So the border guard is like, he's getting really heavy with us. They took each of us into a separate room to do a search. We were playing in West Berlin, and somebody threw some plastic ears and a fish pin into Richard's saxophone case, and the border guard goes, "What is this?" Anyways, he threatened to make us, stay the whole night and clean up the place, but eventually he let us go. He gave us a scare. We thought we had earned ourselves a one-way ticket to the Siberian Jazz Festival. But
yeah, right. Yeah, where you can never leave.
Right.
The latest record sounds so good. It is original, but it still sounds like the Shuffle Demons through and through. What was it like recording? Because you got a couple of new people in the band now, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. We recorded at Canterbury Sound, which is our go-to recording studio. We love working with Jeremy Darby, and we had the magician John O'Grant produce it. And because this is our 35th anniversary as a band, we decided to bring a couple of original members back into the fold to play on 5 of the 10 tracks. So we brought tenor saxophonist Mike Murley and bassist Jim Vivian. So it was great to rekindle that musical vibe and great camaraderie. And then we've added a couple of new members, a young tenor saxophone titan named Matt Lagan, who's a graduate of Humber. And speaking of Humber, Mike Downs, who runs the bass department and now runs the music department at Humber, who's just an incredible player. And so it was either Mike and Jim who joined the core members, which are me, Richard Underhill, and Kelly Jefferson, or Matt and Mike Downs.
That's a list of amazing musicians. I saw Matt play with you in Cuba. The guy is fierce and really loving the band. You can see how happy he is.
Yeah.
He likes to jump around as well as play.
Yeah.
Tell me about Cuba. You guys have done really well there, and that's a hard nut to crack.
Yeah, so the first time we went to Cuba was in February 1992. So we were in Toronto. Somehow I caught wind of the fact that some people from the Cuban government, from the Ministry of Culture, were coming to Toronto. And so that's when I contacted a gentleman named Jonathan Watts, who runs a company called Canada-Cuba Sports and Cultural Festivals. So basically they facilitate cross-cultural exchanges. They've brought a lot of musicians to Cuba. They've brought school bands to Cuba, and they collaborate with Cuban musicians. I mean, they're really wonderful. So Jonathan set up a meeting with me and Richard and Dave Parker with these representatives from the Ministry of Culture in Havana, who were associated with the Jazz Festival, and basically we made a presentation to them, and they invited us to come and play. And Jonathan, he financed the whole trip, and at that time Lance Chilton, who was working for Much Music, and Basil Young came down to film the whole festival, and just talk.
Were they doing this freelance or for Much?
For Much.
Wow, wonderful.
Yeah, so they interviewed us, and they interviewed a bunch of Cuban musicians, and I think Jane and Larry were down there, so it was really great. And so this was the beginning of a long-standing love affair between the Shuffle Demons and Cuba. We've been there, I think, 3 or 4 times since, and they've basically given us an open invitation to come back whenever we want.
Right. And you mean Jane Bennett and Larry Kramer, right? Were there when you were there.
Yeah.
They've been there 50 times, 100 times.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've lost count. Where is a place, other than Antarctica, where is there a place that you want to take the Demons?
I've always wanted to take the Demons to Africa, and I've been working on Africa for a few years now.
Are you going to safe countries or war-torn countries? I'm just curious.
Well, let's see. Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, Benin, Cameroon, Rwanda, Kenya, and South Africa.
Yeah, so there's a couple in there that might be a little
Dicey?
bit dicey. Yes, yeah. Dicey's a good word.
Uh-huh.
Not necessarily safe. How is the band aware of this?
They're aware of it.
Okay.
Yeah. They're aware
You
of
got a really good band.
it. A good band.
I'm going to go to Rwanda and play for the locals and hope that everything's okay that week.
Right.
Okay, so you the band is coming out. What are your plans right now for the Toronto and for the next little while as far as promoting and doing shows?
So the worldwide release of our new Crazy Time CD is the 17th of January, and Richard and I are working really hard along with Ernesto and his team at Orange Grove Publicity to push the new CD. But we're also leaving in less than 2 weeks, January the 16th, for a tour of the Caribbean.
Wow. So the record is released here, but you guys are starting gigging down south.
Yeah.
And when are you back?
We're back in early February, but as soon as we get back, Richard is going to Mexico because he plays at a festival there every year in a small town called Ajijic, which is near Guadalajara. And it's basically a classical musical festival, but there's a jazz component, so he kind of runs that. He brings some musicians from Toronto, and
right, that's been for years, right?
It's been for years. I don't think it pays a lot, but he gets to bring Susie, his wife, for free, so it's kind of a working vacation for them. It's really nice for them. So he's going to do that, and as soon as he gets back, we're going back to the Caribbean for another 10 days to do more gigs.
Wow. Well, I know you're playing Jazz Bistro. I have ears to that because I book it in the summer. But are there any Toronto shows that you know lined up between now and then?
Well, it hasn't quite been confirmed, but we're hoping to lock down a CD release party at the Lula Lounge on February 27th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that works because I definitely want to see you guys. Before we go, do you have any advice for young bands trying to make a living?
I mean, my advice for anyone really is to find something in life that you're truly passionate about, whatever it is, whether it's music, dance, film, visual art, law,
wow,
real estate, whatever it is, find something that you can get excited about every day in your life and just pursue it with all of your heart, with all of your passion, with your dedication, determination, and perseverance. Because to me, that's what life is all about, is being happy and following your muse and following your heart. So that would be my advice to anybody in life.
Cheers. You are the best.
Cheers.
Thank you, Stich Wynston. Next week, we're going to be speaking with Julie Michaels. Is she a gospel singer? Is she a jazz singer, a blues singer, a pop singer, a folk singer? She's all of that and more. We'll see her next week. Bye.